In this question, we are calculating the pH of a 0.30 molar solution of NH4Cl. Once again, before we begin the actual manipulation of the numbers, we have to analyze the salt. So when we take a look at the NH4Cl, we can break it down into NH4 plus as well as the Cl minus. So the NH4 comes from NH3 and the Cl comes from the HCl. So based on analysis, the HCl is a strong acid, and therefore the Cl minus, being the conjugate base, will not want to undergo any further reaction with water. However, NH3, as we have learned before, is a weak base, and consequently NH4, which is the conjugate acid of the weak base, is going to be stronger, and therefore the NH4 will undergo further reaction with water. So this leads us to writing our chemical equation for the reaction of NH4 with H2O. So we have NH4 plus H2O giving you NH3 plus H3O plus. So once again, we have established our equilibrium. Everything else is now fairly straightforward in terms of calculating the pH. So we generate our ice chart. And once again, we ignore the water. So for our NH3 over here, what we have is we have 0.30 and we have 0 and 0. We minus x plus x plus x, and so we get 0.30 minus x. We have x and x. So now when we calculate this, the first thing we notice is that it forms an acidic solution, and so we're able to use the Ka. So in this case, the Ka of ammonium ion is 5.6 times 10 to the minus 10. So when we analyze the equation, it's going to be 5.6 times 10 to the minus 10 is going to equal to x squared all over 0.30 minus x. Again, when we compare the Ka along with the initial acid concentration or initial concentration of the ammonium ion, we see that is quite significant, and therefore the x is going to be fairly small, and therefore it's going to be negligible. So when we calculate this out, what we end up with is we solve and find that x is going to be 1.3 times 10 to the minus 5, which is equal to the hydronium ion concentration. And so when we take the pH, which is negative log 1.3 times 10 to the minus 5, we end up with 4.89. So once again, the emphasis here is the calculation, once it's properly set up, is fairly straightforward. The challenge really is going from our salt and generating the equilibrium equation of the ion reacting with water. That is challenging. And so when you analyze future questions in your worksheets, you need to ensure that you are thinking through the process and following through with identifying what type of acid and what base the salt comes from.